My name's Kyle Thompson, and I've known my best friend, Rick Dawson, since high school. We were thrown into the same homeroom back in sophomore year and clicked right away. Tight as brothers, always had each other's backs. We never kept secrets. Girls, problems, screw-ups, everything was out in the open between us. Still, even with that kind of bond, I'd never try to set any woman I knew up with Rick. His track record with relationships was a disaster. For exes, 2 of them cheated on him. One was sleeping with half the town, and the other carried on a full-blown double life with some other guy for over a year. Then Rick turned around and cheated on his 3rd girlfriend and ditched her for his 4th, who didn't last long either. And to top it all off, he paid for escorts regularly. His mom's loaded, so he never had to work, just lived off her money. Me? I was basically a late bloomer. No hookups, no past girlfriends, nothing until I met Dana. We matched on a dating app on January 13th, 2019, and from day one, things just felt right. She was smart, fun, sweet, and for almost 2 years, it all seemed great. We traveled, spent weekends binge-watching shows, and even brought Rick and his then-girlfriend along on group hangouts. When the pandemic hit, Rick's girlfriend packed up and moved back to South Korea. After that, it was mostly just the 3 of us, me, Dana, and Rick. We'd play video games, order takeout, watch movies. Sometimes Rick would invite Dana out for dinner. I didn't overthink it. She lived near his favorite sushi place and always sent me pictures of their meals. But over time, I started noticing she was coming home later and later. By early 2021, I was spending most of my week helping Dana's parents renovate their new house. I also worked part-time at the office a couple days a week. One day, in late March, I messed up my wrist throwing some old wood into a dumpster. Needed surgery. And then came her birthday on April 29th. I planned a getaway for us, something low-key and romantic. When we got home the next day, Rick was waiting with a birthday cake and gave her an engraved iPad. She lit up like a Christmas tree. The following week, Dana broke up with me over the phone, said I didn't make enough money, called me lazy, and said I needed a second job. She also told me I wasn't the first one to wish her happy birthday at midnight. I was 2 minutes late. When I asked who beat me to it, she snapped, "That's none of your business." Found out later it was Rick. A few days after the breakup, I called Rick to vent. I hadn't told him we'd broken up, and he acted surprised. Said Dana hadn't mentioned a thing and that they had dinner a few days earlier. He told me I could lean on him anytime, and I did. Phone calls every night, long talks, just trying to hold it together. 3 weeks later, Dana called. Said she made a mistake and wanted to get back together. Against my better judgment, I said yes. We even talked about moving in together in a year. We planned a 3-day vacation with a group of friends, Rick included. When I told Rick about it, he gave me some real advice. You sure you want to live with her? She bailed on you when you needed her most. She hasn't changed. Think it through, man. He wasn't wrong, and I appreciated the honesty. While going through rehab for my wrist in June, I met a couple of women who caught my eye. I told Rick about it, casually. Later, I confessed I was second-guessing things with Dana. Maybe I should break up for good and ask one of those women out. Rick said, "Nah, keep Dana around, but date the other girls on the side. If it works, switch them out." That shook me. I cried about it, felt disgusting even thinking that way, and eventually decided to recommit to Dana instead. I tried to better myself, read articles on relationships, self-improvement stuff. But when Dana saw some of those tabs open on my laptop, articles titled things like "When to End It" and "Is She Worth It?" she flipped out. We had a huge fight. She accused me of liking someone else. Said she'd been asked out by another guy but turned him down for me. I told her I had doubts, but I wanted to work through them. She agreed. We made up and decided to still go on the trip. By late June, Rick moved into a new apartment. He'd been working out, losing weight, and setting up a whole bachelor pad. I helped him build furniture and get everything settled. Told him how much I appreciated his support through everything. He said, "Don't worry, man. I've never told Dana anything from our hangouts." June 30th was the last time I got Rick on the phone. I tried calling and texting him that night. Nothing. Found out later he had taken Dana out for dinner that night and didn't want to answer because it'd be awkward. First time she didn't tell me they were going out since our breakup. Then came July 9th, the trip. Rick was the one driving. Normally, when the 3 of us rode together, I sat up front. Dana would sit in back. But this time, she jumped in front and said she got carsick. During the trip, Rick paid for everything: meals, tickets. He and Dana were off together the whole time, playing games, disappearing for long stretches. I was left hanging with the other friends. That was the first time I realized something might really be going on. The last leg of the trip, it was just me and Rick in the car. That's when he let it slip that he'd already been to that same spot the week before with an ex. He said that's why he knew all the good places to eat and what games were worth our time. We talked a bit. I asked him why he'd gone radio silent lately, stopped picking up my calls and leaving my texts on read. He gave me some excuse about setting up his new apartment, messing with the internet, and just being swamped with stuff. Then I found out something that made my stomach turn. That trip, the whole thing, had originally been planned just for Dana. It was supposed to be a getaway for her so she would not miss out on a summer vacation. The only reason I ended up on the trip was because Dana and I had gotten back together, and I guess I screwed up Rick's little plan. As my birthday approached, July 25th, the vibe between me and Dana got cold, fast. She barely responded to my messages, and when she did, it took hours. She used to be glued to her phone. Suddenly, I was an afterthought. She stayed over the night before my birthday, which I figured meant she wanted to make it special. But midnight came and went, and the only thing I got was a half-hearted happy birthday mumbled at 12:05 a.m. I tried to get close to her, like we always did, but she brushed me off. We eventually slept together, but that ended up being the last time. The actual day of my birthday? It was a complete mess. She took me out to eat, got me a small gift, and then bailed halfway through the day, saying she had work to catch up on. That was the last time I saw her in person. After that, everything fell apart. The week following my birthday, I stopped reaching out. No texts. No calls. She didn't message me either until Friday evening, around 5 p.m., when work ended. I finally called her. It turned into a full-blown argument. We never actually said, "We're done," but it ended ugly. I was tired of feeling unwanted, so I let my frustration fly. I asked why she never even got me a birthday card or a cake. Her response hit hard. "I bought you a card but didn't know what to write in it because I was scared you'd leave me. And I didn't get you a cake because I figured it'd be the last birthday I'd ever share with you." I told her I didn't care anymore, and she hung up on me. 2 weeks passed. I did not reach out once. Then she texted, saying her dad was going to drop off my things and pick up hers. Her dad had no clue what was going on between us. He told me I should try to work things out, that he hoped we could get back together. It felt like a punch to the gut hearing that. Then, August 28th rolled around. 6 weeks had passed since that trip. 2 months since Rick and I had last talked outside of that trip. I'd been calling, texting, he was completely MIA. That day at work, my buddy Jason called. He said Rick had contacted him that morning. Rick told him he and Dana were officially together, living together. She had moved into his place. Rick even asked Jason to keep it a secret, but Jason didn't feel right about it and called me immediately. I was in shock. That same night, Rick finally decided to call me. He laid it all out. I was so stunned I could barely form a sentence. "Hey man, how you been?" he said, like nothing was wrong. "If you haven't figured it out already, I'm with Dana now. It just sort of happened. I didn't have a choice. I was feeling like I might hurt myself if I didn't see her. Being around her makes me happy." He told me she did not want anything to do with me anymore. Said he'd always care about me and that Dana had been bad for me, but perfect for him. I asked him about that engraved iPad he got her in her favorite color, how he even knew her birthday so well. He said he just wanted to make her happy and that it was not a big deal. Then he admitted he had been checking her social media for months to get details like that. I asked why he started taking her out to dinners alone, treating her to fancy meals, and never inviting me. He said he saw how she was treating me, how she seemed checked out, and he figured he would shoot his shot. When she said yes, he could not believe it himself. I told him that what he and Dana did was emotional cheating. He shrugged it off. "If that's how you see it, I'm sorry." I asked him point blank, "Would you do it all over again, even if it meant betraying me?" He didn't hesitate. "Absolutely. She's my soulmate. I would not be surprised if I marry her someday." I asked how he could ignore all the red flags I told him about Dana over the years. He said, "You mess things up with her." I actually like the red flags. They make her interesting. I warned him, "If she cheated on me, she could cheat on you too." He responded calmly, "That's possible. I'm okay with it. I believe everyone deserves one cheat pass. If she uses it, so be it." I could not believe it. I reminded him of all the heartbreak he went through, how his first 2 girlfriends had cheated on him, how he cheated on his third. I asked, "Why would you turn around and put me through that same pain?" He said, I didn't think it'd hurt that bad. You'll bounce back. You were looking at other girls anyway, right? We're the same age. I asked him how the sex was. He said, it's fine. You'll find better. After a while, it doesn't matter. You stop thinking about that stuff. Then I dropped the bomb. Dana and I never officially broke up. We just fought on July 30th. He said he had no idea. Claimed Dana reached out to him on August 1st, wanting to see him. She came over, and that was that. She had been living with him nearly full-time ever since. To make things even worse, this all happened while my mom was entering her final stage of life. She had been battling stage 4 lung cancer for 5 years. Doctors told us she was too weak for more treatment, so now it's just about making her comfortable. I told Rick he should visit her one last time. He said, I'd love to, man, but I just can't. Then I asked him, am I still your best friend? He answered, of course. You've always been there for me. I'll never forget that. I told him, you weren't there for me this time. You were the one who wrecked everything. He said, I'm sorry you feel that way. We ended the call with him saying he would be laying low for the next 6 to 12 months, that he would not be around. Told me not to let anyone convince me to cut him off, and that he still cared about me. Said the only reason he hadn't called sooner was because he had been too busy. He told me to only contact him if it involved joint bills or accounts with Dana. If I wanted to speak to her, I had to go through him. She had blocked me on everything: social media, text, calls. She made sure I could not reach her. I ended up emailing her, just twice. I poured out everything I had been holding in. Told her how I pushed her away. How my coldness may have made her feel alone. That I was sorry. That if she wanted to move on, fine, but I needed closure. All I ever really wanted from Jenny at the end of it all was just a real goodbye. One last honest talk. Something to close the chapter with dignity, not silence. We had 3 years together. That has to mean something, right? Just ghosting me after all that felt cruel. I even reached out to her father. He said he'd talk to her and then call me back. That call never came. To be honest, I've been a wreck. Not just because I lost Jenny, the woman I once seriously thought about proposing to, but because I also lost Rick, the guy I called my best friend for over half my life. We shared everything. The double blow crushed me. And now, while they are out living it up, taking trips, posting smiling pictures online like they're in some rom-com, I'm here, grieving 2 relationships that meant everything to me. 3, actually, because my mom's in hospice. We were told there's nothing more the doctors can do. Most nights, I cannot sleep. I get hit with these vivid nightmares, images of Jenny and Rick laughing in bed together, in the same bedroom I helped him set up. It eats me up inside. I just wish I could wake up and realize this was all some twisted dream. How Rick, of all people, could destroy my first serious relationship like this. It's beyond me. Jenny was the first woman I ever truly loved, and he just had to go and take that too. Update. After all this, I did a lot of digging and reflecting. The more I read and the more I connected the dots, the clearer it became. Rick fits the mold of a narcissist, possibly even a sociopath. And Jenny's not far behind. I know people toss those words around too much nowadays, but if you looked up their behaviors and compared, you'd see it all lines up: the manipulation, the lies, the complete lack of empathy. They check every box on the dark triad traits: narcissism, manipulation, and emotional coldness. At this point, I feel lucky. They exposed who they were in the most dramatic way possible and cut themselves out of my life. Good riddance. Now for the wild part. Buckle up. Let's rewind and lay out the names for clarity. Snake is what I'll call Rick from now on. His 4 exes, A, B, C, and D. Jenny, my ex, will stay Jenny. True Bro is the mutual friend who told me the truth and never betrayed me. All right, we're picking up from August 28th, 2021, what I now call D-Day. On September 2nd, I jumped back onto dating apps. It took time to build the courage, but I figured moving on had to start somewhere. Then on December 6th, something strange happened. I matched with Rick's ex, C. Hadn't seen her since around 2016. She recognized me immediately and sent the first message. Hey, have you talked to Rick lately? That's when I got that gut feeling. Something was off. I figured she deserved to know the truth. I had only met her once, but I remembered enough to know she'd been caught in Rick's games. So, we agreed to meet the next day for lunch. December 7th, we met up. At first, it was small talk. Then I asked her a couple of things. When did you 2 break up? She said, about a month ago. What was the last trip you took with him? Early July, she said. Right then, I realized Rick had been dating both C and D for 4 to 5 years, at the same time. Rick had been juggling them for years using some twisted scheduling system. He lived with C part-time, kept his stuff there, and stayed at D's place the rest of the time. C was always asking to hang out with me and True Bro again, not realizing Rick had been keeping her isolated from the people who could expose the truth. Total divide and conquer. He broke up with C right before moving in with Jenny. But even after breaking up, he still had a key to C's apartment and would come and go like he owned the place. He even took both C and Jenny to the same vacation spots, back-to-back weekends. This man was running a rotating door of girlfriends like some kind of delusional harem fantasy. December 8th, Rick showed up uninvited at C's apartment. She had tossed all his stuff out. He lost it. Then he called True Bro, trying to spin it like everything with C was just a friendly misunderstanding. Later that month, C and I decided to do something a little bold. We visited Rick's dad. Just showed up unannounced. His dad was thrilled to see us. He smiled, asked how the relationship was going, and even joked about when we'd be getting married. He had no idea what was really going on. So we laid it all out. Told him Rick had dumped C, stolen my girlfriend, and was now shacking up with her. His dad looked like someone had punched him in the gut. Then came the real shocker. Rick wasn't rich. Not even close. Turns out his dad, who's in his 70s and retired, was sending him $1,000 a month to help cover rent. That fancy apartment Rick had with C, it was $3,500 a month, and she was footing the rest. Rick had no job. Never had one. We all thought he had trust fund money, but he was just mooching off his parents and maxing out credit cards. Over $100,000 in debt. Despite having a prestigious Ivy League degree, he has refused every job offer he got. Said nothing pays enough for someone of his caliber. He hasn't worked since 2017. His dad said something that'll stick with me forever. I failed as a father. I raised the biggest disappointment in our family history. C, being the compassionate person she is, wanted to help Jenny avoid the same fate. She asked me for her contact info and then sent Jenny proof. Text messages, call logs, rent receipts. Snake had even sent C late-night texts saying he wanted her back, that he dreamed of living in a mansion with all his exes living peacefully under one roof. I am not kidding. He actually wanted a personal harem. Jenny didn't take it well. Instead of hearing the truth, she called C and trashed me. Told her I was a bad person, warned her to stop hanging out with me. Said Rick was just checking in on C to help her move on. Oh, and get this. Rick keeps nude photos of his exes saved on an encrypted hard drive. When asked why, he said, "Not because she was the one who got away. She's over 30 now. Washed up. I just like looking at the female body at its peak." This is the guy who told me I should get over it. Back in college, Rick started dating one of his exes. Let's call her A, when she was just 18. He used to brag about it like it was some kind of trophy. Even years later, he'd say things like, "That was the peak. I'll never get to be with another 18-year-old again." So I still look back at those photos and appreciate the art. Yeah, he called her body a work of art. It's disgusting, but it tells you everything you need to know about the kind of guy he is. Rick hires escorts wherever he goes. That's just how he rolls. On my 30th birthday, he tried to drag me to a brothel and push me into losing my virginity. I declined. That was never my thing, and the whole setup made my skin crawl. In the end, Rick and Jenny are exactly where they belong, with each other, locked in what I can only hope turns out to be a mutually destructive mess. They're each other's punishment. After all that drama, things quieted down. I heard through the grapevine that Jenny's birthday isn't the only one in April. Rick's ex C shares the same birth month. Would you believe he actually left C a voicemail wishing her a happy birthday? Jenny also reached out to her, trying to get her to contact me and clear the air. The fact that either of them thought C would want to play messenger is laughable. Their shamelessness knows no bounds. Today, I'm at peace with it all. Whether they stay together or not doesn't affect me anymore. If they split, fine. If they keep pretending to be happy, that's fine too. The important part is they're not fooling anyone else or pulling new people into their mess. They're both walking examples of what happens when selfish, toxic people latch onto each other. They're chaotic, dishonest, and incapable of being genuine with anyone, including each other. And just like everyone kept telling me a year ago, time really does heal. I feel it now. The sting is gone. I have no love left for them. I can't say for sure how I'd react if I ever ran into Rick on the street. Emotions might come roaring back. But so far, I've been lucky enough not to see his face again. In a way, I've come out of all this better. I went from being a 31-year-old guy with no experience in love or relationships to taking a crash course in betrayal, manipulation, cheating, and heartbreak. And as awful as it was, it taught me a lot. I dealt with sociopaths. I dealt with narcissists. And I survived. Let's look at the positives. I was never married, so no divorce mess. I have no kids tied up in this drama. I'm healthy. I did not lose money. And I exposed a so-called best friend who had been hiding a knife behind his back for over 2 decades. Since then, I've dived deep into books and podcasts about psychology, relationships, and personal growth. I studied the dark traits, the things to watch out for, and learned how to build better boundaries. I'm smarter, more aware, and more confident. The self-awareness I gained from all this? Worth its weight in gold. Bonus memory, just to drive home how twisted Rick is. Remember the game Animal Crossing: New Horizons? It came out during the early days of the pandemic, March 2020. Jenny and I played it together since she was living with me back then. Rick also played, but we always laughed about how he chose a female character with long black hair and didn't seem to understand basic game mechanics. He always bragged about how amazing his island looked, how he had a 5-star rating. Well, turns out it wasn't even him building that island. It was C. She was the one logging the hours, doing all the work. Every time we invited him to visit our islands or join a multiplayer event, he'd hand the controller to her and pretend he was the one playing. That small revelation? It chilled me. It was just another piece of the puzzle that showed who he really is: calculated, cold, and always using someone. That's how he lives his entire life. Rick is someone who manipulates everyone around him. He lies with a smile. He uses people like tools. And somehow, he always thinks he'll get away with it. Maybe someday, his whole world will catch up to him. Maybe not. But either way, I am done. He and Jenny deserve each other, and I have finally closed the book on this story.